Well, I want to take up this issue of the different standards of how these different rights are interpreted in different jurisdictions and how can we apply that to the internet. So if we look at these different standards for privacy or free speech or some of the other rights and how they're interpreted in different countries and come up with the best practices, what we want to do is we want to look at what provides the most, of these varying theories, what provides the most protection for fundamental human rights. Which practices allow the individual to really be empowered themselves, to which of these various standards really promotes democracy, really empowers an individual to improve their own life, to educate themselves, to engage in more self-determination for their own lives. So maybe, this is just a maybe, but maybe that would mean we would take something along the lines of the Brazilian remix culture idea. Maybe that's the right approach for the internet age. Maybe we want to look at the EU position on privacy rights and data protection rights, and maybe that's a good approach for us to follow for the internet. Maybe we want to look at the US standard for freedom of expression and see how that would work in an international context. These are just possibilities, different ways of looking at how these different rights actually play out in different places. And I also wanted to address the issue of why a new forum, or do we need a new forum? Can we do this in existing forums? Well, I don't think it's really an either or. I think it's kind of a both and. But one reason why we would want to engage in a new forum is I think there's a good deal of dissatisfaction with what's going on in existing forums for individual rights. If you take a look at WIPO, for example, there's a very widespread consensus that WIPO does not meet the needs of developing countries or the global public interest. That's why the development agenda and the Access to Knowledge Treaty have become so important at WIPO in the last year, because developing countries are saying, hey, wait a minute, WIPO, you're not representing our interests. Or take a look at ICANN, for example. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with ICANN. It's WHOIS privacy policy, for example, violates a number of international privacy standards. So there are problems with existing forums, and so that's one reason why we might need to put a little bit of pressure on those forums to get them to correct those behaviors. Thank you.